find this one closer and a nice road ಸುತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋದಂಗ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. Sachidanand, Vice Chancellor, Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences. Uh, Very happy to announce that we are starting with our digital lecture series as a part of our as all of you know, Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences is now celebrating its 25th year celebrations, the Sirojogi celebrations for the last 6 or 7 months, which was inaugurated by none other than our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji. From that day onwards, we've been carrying out various activities. As a part of the Sirojogi celebrations in the medical faculty, we have started a series of guest lectures being delivered by eminent speakers from across the world, and we would like to bring the current and relevant topics into focus so that it benefits all our faculty and also students. And at this point, I would like to acknowledge the role played by Dr. Meera, Professor and HOD Department of Biochemistry, and also she is the Officer of Special Duty for Chikmagalur Medical College, who has taken up the notice of arranging the speakers and also the topics to be selected. Not only for today she has worked, but she has also aligned a series of such lectures for the next 2 months. So we will be announcing all these speakers, the date, the time, and the topics in a very short time, so that all of you will be knowing much before advance what are the topics that are going to be covered and who are the speakers. And we are also planning to have these medical online guest lecture series to see that it is done on a fixed day. For example, every Friday between 3 to 4 p.m. Between 3 to 4 p.m. every Friday, we would be able to do this program so that everybody would know that this is a regular feature and it will continue as long as it can be done. And today's topic is role of artificial intelligence in healthcare and diagnostics by Dr. Leena Apikatla, who has an experience of more than 20 years in the field of biochemistry. Dr. Leena started her career as assistant professor in biochemistry at SRNC and Research Institute Chennai. She has had several leadership positions like laboratory head, quality head, regional business head, and in the corporate hospitals. She has
You are now muted.
worked Fortis and even SRL Diagnostics. She's also worked as medical director in a state-of-the-art company called Triple Technologies, which uses artificial intelligence in diagnostic laboratories. She has several years of healthcare industry experience and expertise, and currently she's based out of Bangalore. So I think she's the right person to talk to us on the role of artificial intelligence in healthcare and diagnostics. Digital health initiative is a big initiative that India is looking forward to, and the response is in response to the call given by none other than our Prime Minister, Honorable Narendra Modi ji, who has who wants to transform the whole healthcare industry into a digital platform, so that there will be seamless treatment of patient. He can move around anywhere he wants. His records can also be made available at any hospital across the country. And to that initiative, even Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences has partnered with Indian Institute of Science to take up this digital health initiative, not only for better patient health care, but also for training purposes and training and research purposes also. So this would be our flagship program of Rajiv Gandhi Institute of Health Sciences. And to that extent, we would like to listen to Dr. Leena on artificial intelligence in healthcare. I would hand over the mic to Dr. Meera. Dr. Meera, please. I would also welcome our registrar, Shivan Kapati sir, who is with us today, and all the syndicate members, Senate members who have joined here to listen to the lecture. And,
Yes, sir.
Dr. Meera, please carry on.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Very good afternoon to one and all. And it is my distinct honor and high privilege to welcome our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. S. Sachidanand, sir, and all the participants for today's webinar program. And it is very easier said than done. That what was once planted as sampling is now all grown into large tree. Our Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences has crossed many milestones and carried many colorful feathers since 1996. Now it is a time for all of us to rejoice the Silver Jubilee celebrations. We assure you that we will accomplish many more achievements in the coming years under the able leadership of our Vice Chancellor. Thank you, sir. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to organize this wonderful session. On the occasion of Silver Jubilee celebrations, our university has already initiated many programs. I'm proud to be a part of one such program in organizing the series of webinar sessions. Over the next few weeks, webinar sessions will be conducted every Friday between 3 to 4. And these sessions will be taken by reputed speakers from national and international level. And our Vice Chancellor has already flagged the webinar sessions, webinar program. And now I'll request the platform, I'll request Dr. Leena to take over the platform. Okay, Dr. Leena, please take over the session. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Meera. Honorable Dr. Sachidananda Sir, Vice Chancellor, RGUHS, Dr. Ramalinga Reddy, Registrar, Dr. Riaz, Deputy Registrar, and Dr. Meera, PG Boss, Chairman of Organizing Committee. It is indeed an honorable members of the faculty and guests. It is indeed an honor and privilege for me to be delivering the guest lecture at the Silver Jubilee functions of RGUHS. It is an esteemed university known all over, not only India, but all over the world. There are eminent faculty from this university, so it is really a matter of privilege for me to be. Without much further talk, I will start my topic for the day, which is the role of artificial intelligence in healthcare and diagnostics. So now we are in the 21st century, in an era where intelligence is everywhere. Intelligence is no longer a bastion of chosen few, and but it is accessible to everyone. In our own field of medicine also, the days where medical knowledge was available to a few people is no longer existing. Medical knowledge used to be almost a holy science, where a medical student would take 10 years to study, another 10 years to probably assimilate, and probably another 10 years to be called an expert. But now we have Dr. Google, and that is accessible to everyone who would give us the same information, which was now in probably 0.0001 seconds or even less. Type in any kind of a medical symptom, and we have a vast array of information, including which hospital would be the best to visit in a particular scenario. Dissecting a cadaver in the anatomy class used to be only accessible to MBBS students. But now everyone can look into 3D images of the human body in far greater detail than it was possible for us during dissection. So where are we headed to? And it is not enough now to understand natural intelligence, but we should also understand artificial intelligence. In fact, a couple of years back, when I joined this IT company called Sigtuple Technology, which dealt with AI in diagnostics, at that time, my knowledge of artificial intelligence was very limited because I'm a doctor, and obviously I did not have much exposure into the field. So, however, now the buzzword. So hence, when Dr. Meera was mentioning to me about a topic for this, I thought that it is high time that we doctors also get an idea about the IT sector and understand how this AI is going to revolutionize healthcare. So that is the background with which I should like to speak, and I will start my discussion. So first, let us get to what is artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is the science and engineering of making intelligent machines, and that too intelligent computer programs. Now, in my talk, I would be mentioning about the basics of artificial intelligence so that all of us get an idea about what it is before going deeper into the topic. Now, this is a branch of computer science which mimics the human mind. So it means that AI creates computing systems that have the ability to perform tasks like humans or even better than humans. It is a field of computer science that develops machines or software and which has human intelligence, such as speech recognition, decision making, and translation abilities. All of us know about Siri and Alexa. So when we ask Alexa a question, it immediately gives an answer, and then therefore it is called artificially intelligent. So what is intelligence? Let us now define intelligence. So intelligence is basically, it is the ability of a system, a human being or an animal or a machine to achieve a particular goal. So is intelligence only human? Now we do not know that because we cannot characterize what computational procedures we want to call intelligent. We can understand some types of intelligence, but not others. So let us see what is natural intelligence before going to artificial intelligence. So there is one common thing which all of us would have seen, that is flocking and migrating birds. Now these birds, by some natural intelligence, form a V-shaped pattern and migrate towards a particular destination. Is that intelligent or not? We do not know because we don't understand yet the intelligence of the species. Similarly, army ants. Now, army ants are a group of ants which will virtually destroy everything in their track, and they almost eat up everything. So now these army ants also have a kind of intelligence which enables, if one army ant finds food, it always, all of them go together. Now we do not know what sort of intelligence this is. So human intelligence. Now this is something about ant intelligence, but what is human intelligence? Human intelligence is something where we have knowledge, we have rational thought, we use symbols, we use language, we can make a plan, we can make a design, and we can foresee. And also the most important thing is we have the ability to learn specialized knowledge and skills. Now, when we talk about human beings, we think that we are at the epitome of evolution. So would we be able to design a machine which would do all this and more, probably? So that is where artificial intelligence comes in. Now, when we talk about who is the founding, who discovered this, now there are two contenders to the position of the father of AI. One is John McCarthy, who is regarded in USA as the father of AI, and the other one is Alan Turing, who is regarded in UK as the founding father of computer science and AI. So both of them have done phenomenal work in the development of intelligence. So in fact, there is something called a Turing test, which says that if a human being cannot distinguish whether a machine's responses are from a machine or a human, then that particular machine would be intelligent. Whenever we want to see whether a machine is intelligent, then the response is human, even more than a human. Now, if you see the comments, this slide shows the performance of human being not so over a period. So if you sign off, it has been more or less same. However, AI has taken over human beings and state. Now, starting from early effort, where AI with human performances used in commercial systems with varying degrees of utility. Then we have, excuse me. Hello?
Share your slide. Share your slide.
I'm sharing. Just a minute. I think my slides are not visible. I'm sorry, the slide, I'll just share it once. I hope the slide is visible now.
Yes, yes, Dr. Leena.
Okay, I'm so sorry. The previous slide was missed out. Yeah. So I was talking about natural intelligence, and then about the brief history, and now about beings and AI have. So basically, AI systems have now taken over human beings in the current state. So in the early effort, AI with subhuman performance was being used, and in the current state, we have task-specific AI, and which actually match on moments, like example, speech recognition, driving vehicles, and even to classifying skin cancer. And in the future outlook, we have general AI, which exceeds human performance and reasoning. So artificial intelligence systems, they are usually constructed by man. We still haven't made something which a machine would be creating. So a human being is required for that. So as we know, humans are all hooked to the smartphones, and it's the machines which are learning as of now. So now these artificial intelligence systems have the appearance of natural things, and they can be characterized in terms of functions and being designed they are intuitive as well as a descriptive. AI is now, there are three things which, if we read about AI is artificial, one is machine learning, and the third one is deep learning. So artificial intelligence is the engineering. This actually is there from the 1950s to the 1980s. So engineering of making intelligent machines and parts. Then learning, that is the machine learn without explicitly programmed like a computer. And then comes to which is learning based on a deep neural network. So I will be explaining a little bit of this so that we understand the different concepts here. AI is also divided into narrow, general, and strong. And type 2 is reactive machines, limited memory, theory of mind, and self-awareness. The types of artificial intelligence. Now, when we talk about a weak or a narrow, it doesn't have any intelligence or self-awareness, which means that it can resolve a query. Many of us have seen the chatbots or probably the Siri of Apple or an Alexa. It doesn't have an intelligence, but if you ask it a question, then it would be capable of resolving the query, but it can't have a conversation. So this is like an industrial robot or a virtual personal assistant like Siri. You ask Alexa or Siri, Alexa, where am I located? Where am I going? You cannot have a conversation with Alexa. It would be really fun to do so, but we cannot have a conversation. So they have a limited perspective and learning. Then true artificial intelligence that is a strong artificial intelligence. This would react like human, and it could accomplish tasks similar to human being. So that means that it is more or less a human brain. So if there is a million task, one example of Alexa, probably the next version of Alexa would be, suppose you ask Alexa something for which it is not programmed, it could use fuzzy logic and then it could find the solution. And the third one, which we still don't have, is artificial superintelligence. So this is something where the intelligence is far more than the human brain. And we sometimes have this fear that probably human extinction will be started by machines, because if the machines become more intelligent than humans, they would not even require us to program. So that is called artificial intelligence, which we don't have. Then the other type, the second way of categorizing it is having four types, that is reactive machine, limited memory, self-aware, and theory of mind, and then self-aware. So each of this is a different type of intelligence. So the reactive machines, if we see, they don't have a memory. For example, in 1990s, Garry Kasparov was beaten by Deep Blue, which is a chess program. Now, Deep Blue could identify the pieces on the chessboard. It could make a predictive move, but it has no memory. So it cannot play the same game. It cannot use the past experience to inform the future ones. Now, this is a reactive machine. Then comes the limited memory. Limited memory means they use the past experience to inform the future decision. For example, nowadays all of us are talking about self-driving cars. So a self-driving car would have the ability to be able to see that, okay, there is a traffic ahead and I should be able to navigate myself. So it should have a limited memory. Then coming to theory of mind. Now here we are in the juxtaposition of a machine and the mind. So the mind is a psychological term, and when we apply it to AI, it means that the system would have the social intelligence. That means you can understand emotions and it can predict behavior. We can infer human intentions. Now, this is a scary part, because if a machine has a theory of mind, it would be able to make out what is a human intention and it can predict behavior. In short, it has more of a social sense. And the other one is the self-aware machine, wherein the machine starts getting consciousness. And this machine, which are self-aware, can understand themselves, which is still now only a human trait. Luckily, this type of AI does not yet exist. So if I have to make a subset, if you have to understand the terminology, then AI, which mimics the intelligence or behavioral pattern of humans. Then there is machine learning, and under that is deep learning. In deep learning, it is inspired by our brain's network of neurons. So this is how it is. AI and subset of the entire thing is called AI, and that is divided into machine learning, neural network, and deep learning. Now, what is a neural network? So let me try to explain this with a small example with which all of us are familiar. Now, suppose I go to buy a house. I know that there are two variables for me. One is the price and one is the size of the house. So as and when the size of the house increases, the price also increases. So it's a simple linear variable. So we can draw a linear graph saying that when the size increases, the price obviously increases. So if I make a relationship between the size and the price, the input to that would be a neuron. So a size and make an input of a neuron, and that leads to the price. Now that is a simple network, but often we don't have such a simple network. We have a lot of other things which go into which come into consideration when we buy a house. Now, for example, we have size, we have number of bedrooms, we have a zip code, which area we live in, and what is our wealth, what is our status. So all this, now size and bedrooms would have a neuron called family size. Then family size again would increase the price. We need the zip code. Suppose I live in a posh area of Bangalore, my zip code is so and so, then the price would increase. Suppose I live in a comparatively suburban area, then the price would be less. Then similarly, the school quality, the walkability of the house from the school, all these are deep neural networks. So we are going deeper and deeper and programming this into the machine. So the input which comes is far more evolved than the output which comes is far more evolved than what the input is. So we have 4 now: X1, X2, X3, X4, size, bedroom, zip code, and wealth. So that forms the first layer of neural network. Then there is a deeper layer, and then the output is Y. So this is what is a simple terms is a neural network. So this is again a diagram. So the blue one is the input layer, the hidden layer, and then there's an output layer, like the price and the size of the house. And then when you go to the deep learning neural network, it is the hidden layer, the input layer, and it has 4 hidden layers, and that has an output layer. So this is what is a neural network which is programmed into the AI system. So for example, if I come into now I'll just make it into a medical explanation. So we have on the MRI or in the CT scan, we have the picture of a brain. And so the input layer is the image. Now there are several hidden layers. So the output would be the tumor in the image is an oligodendroglioma, or the tumor in the image is an astrocytoma. So here the hidden layers are how we program the input into the machine. So if my is perfect, and then the output, the classification of the tumor would be absolutely perfect. So this is the beauty of having a deep learning neural network. Now again, similarly, I'm converting this into a car. Now my input, I'm sorry, I have to tell you about the machine learning and the deep learning. So the machine learning, the input here is a red car, and it will extract. So according to the classification, all I get is whether it's a car or not a car. Similarly, if I put a cat, then the machine learning would help me identify whether it's a cat or not a cat. But if I use deep learning, then I would get the output as a red car, make code, model mask. So I get a deep of the car. Similarly, if I have a cat, then I would get a Russian blue cat, probably black in color and with different features. So that is how deep learning works on the basis of neural networks. So if I have to summarize types of AI, now we have a reactive AI, we have a limited memory, we have theory of mind, and we have self-aware. So that is what we are trying to achieve by making machines which are which can actually bypass human intelligence. Then so that also we have in medical systems, there are first wave AI, like we have vaccine schedule systems. Then we have a second wave AI, which is actually learning. It helps to learn, and that is applied in the medical field in the form of clinical decision support systems. For example, AI system which would evaluate a genetic test result or do a retinal scan or evaluate an echocardiogram. They cannot obviously replace human assessments because they do not have the human's capacity for deep data interpretation. And then the third wave AI. Now here we have a third wave AI which can examine huge data sets. For example, Johnson and Johnson has started to invent AI programs, and so with lot of it's like a lot of unrelated data points which are taken, and it helps to test new hypotheses. There is a Muse program which Johnson and Johnson is supporting, which helps to correlate the fish between the correlation between fish oil and Raynaud's disease. And this third wave AI is actually can teach humans what it learns. It has gone the step further, and not only it can understand, but it can also teach humans. And okay, now a little bit about how the AI system is programmed. So when I joined SIGTUPL, this is something which I always had. It was very tough for me because there was no one to actually guide me through it, and I had to do all the learning by myself. So I had to understand what is an algorithm. So unless we understand what's an algorithm, we wouldn't be able to program an AI system. So we have to understand how an algorithm is created. So algorithm basically means it is more or less like our medical system. So it is basically an algorithm would have a well-defined input, should have a clear and unambiguous command, and it should be independent of a language. That means the computer language should be taken into account. So that is the main input over there. And the output also should be well defined, and it should be finite, and it should be very clear, and it should be fine tuned. So that means the algorithm is something which has a learning process, which has reasoning process, and a self-correction process. So the algorithm should be able to know that if the wrong command has been fed, it should be able to change it. So I will explain this with an example of our pandemic COVID-19 screening tool. So this is the screening tool which is used to build an algorithm. So all of us are familiar with this now. However, I should explain this to you in the sense that, so suppose that there is a travel from a affected, so the entire boxes are actually the algorithms. So suppose we are trying to say, how do you screen a COVID patient, and what do you do with how do you triage the COVID patient? So you need to make these algorithms very specific. So basically, it is a travel from an affected geographic area, and then fever and lower respiratory illness. Yes, then it goes to if there is fever and lower respiratory illness, then it is yes. Then you have to testing indicated, isolation, monitoring for 14 days. If it is no, then no test, quarantine, self-monitoring for 14 days. Then the close confirms of COVID, and again there is a yes or no decision point, and accordingly the patient should be triaged. Also, we have certain things like risk cases, immunosuppressed patients, or patients with heart disease, and so on. So when trying to build an artificial intelligence system which would be able to touch of the intervention of a physician or a healthcare professional, my algorithm should be perfect. I should be able to design an algorithm which immediately triages the patient. So this is how the algorithm can be created for COVID. Similarly, this is another algorithm wherein how the COVID patient is to be treated. So if there is acute respiratory illness, fever, cough, shortness of breath, diabetes, then travel to country so and so, and then no, this entire thing makes my algorithm. I have my inputs to the algorithm very perfect, then I would be able to build a system which would immediately triage a COVID-19 patient. So this is how algorithms are built. Of course, this has changed quite a bit in the current times, but I want to just generally show that this is how an algorithm can be built. So what happens in AI, in health? We have all from paper-based record system to electronic records. We can predict a diagnosis, we can predict a death or a hospital readmission. and we can also make personalized medicine. So this is a new app, has in fact come out probably a week back, which is a system which was built on National Cancer Awareness Day. And once you put in the symptoms of the patient, it will give you support in Hindi, Bengali, Gujarati, and all Kannada, Tamil, all the Indian languages. And immediately the patient engagement and care can happen. And it is also integrated to Bluetooth, so that the whole system for the patient becomes very seamless. So now we also have, all of us might have heard about IBM Watson. So what does Watson do? That's also an AI system in healthcare, which can understand natural language and can respond to different questions. So what Watson does is, it takes the patient data, a huge amount of patient data, it forms a hypothesis, and then it makes a kind of a scheme. And with the help of that, it can virtually diagnose any kind of a disease, or it can present you with intelligent solutions. So there are chatbots, etc. But Watson is one of the latest AI systems which have been invented now. Now, coming to the clinical laboratory, which is my core domain as a laboratory professional. So in clinical laboratory, although we may not be aware, but the LIS system and the high-end hematology and biochemistry systems would employ reflex testing algorithms. All those who have worked in laboratories know that we have LIS, we have got the machine would be able to identify how much of sample is present, what is the real-time analyzer capacity, and all that. So that we can use a stat mode, we can use a routine mode, so that we can, it's a very basic AI system which labs have followed traditionally. But now we have much more high-end AI systems, wherein we have interactive glucometers, we have data trends, we have test results, and the entire thing which helps the user for follow-up actions. Then coming to digital pathology, very important, and this is something which is really having a lot of utility in the current healthcare system, because in the like if you see this slide, the traditional pathology workflow was preparation of the tissue, then the glass slides would be couriered from somewhere to the lab, or probably hand delivered something, and then the slide would be analyzed, and then you give a patient diagnosis. But what does a digital pathology workflow do? It prepares the tissue, it creates a digital slide, and the computerized, the digital slides are analyzed with the computer, and it gives an automated patient diagnosis. So how is this going to be very helpful for us is because large number of images can be viewed by people in diverse locations. So you actually don't need a pathologist sitting in every location to see the slides. You can have a pathologist at a remote location, and that for a country like India is really revolutionary. And then we have, okay, so this is the next slide, which shows how the patient, now the entire workflow can also be digitalized from patient data collection stage. So the data is collected, the digital slide is prepared, the image is stored in a cloud, and the captured image is again edited, and it is modified. You can actually view the images as per the pathologist requirement. You can magnify a particular area, you can zoom in, zoom out, and then you can share the images with the doctors, patients, various research institutes, and so on. Is able to recognize whether a particular area is benign or malignant, and so on. So in fact, if you see, there is an article in Journal of American Medicine, JAMA, wherein an artificial intelligence algorithm, it actually outperformed pathologists. So ductal carcinoma in situ was differentiated from atypical hyperplasia, and that is considered to be one of the most diagnostically difficult tasks. So if you see the slide, the accuracy of the machine was 0.94, which compared to pathologist of which was 0.98. And when it came to distinguishing between the DCIS and atypia, the machine actually scored slightly marginally more than pathologists. So that means the algorithm which was fed into the machine has to be so perfect that it is able to give a proper diagnosis. Similarly, blood sugar predictions. So there is a machine which has been designed by the University of Bern, which can predict dangerously low or high blood sugar, and the patient would be able to know that there is the fluctuation of the blood sugar even half an hour before hyperglycemia or hypoglycemia occurs. So this is under research, and similarly, there is the same system. It can predict it based upon the effect. So this is where the deep neural network comes, because we are inputting age, fitness, insulin treatment, number of years with the disease, as well as daily routine and the glucose control. So based upon more and more inputs, it is able to give a better diagnosis of the blood sugar. Similarly, there is another area wherein AI system has been used, which is distinguishing primary hyperparathyroidism. Now, primary hyperparathyroidism, as all of us know, this is widely under-recognized condition. So, 50% of the primary hyperparathyroidism patients are referred for operations. So now, if there are this machine learning, it builds predictive algorithms. And this study, which was published in journal Surgery in 2017, it actually used a retrospective cohort study. And with the help of the algorithms, I'll just tell the results. It basically, the machine was able to predict which of the patients would undergo parathyroidectomy, and even without human input, it was able to diagnose which of the patients would be needing surgery, which of the patients would not be needing surgeries. So this was very important, because often this disease goes undiagnosed, and in mild disease also the AI system was able to make this diagnosis. Now coming to radiology. So now AI in radiology, it has been used in various fields. One is thoracic imaging. In lung cancer screening, the AI system was able to automatically identify pulmonary nodules and characterizing the benign or malignant. In abdominal and pelvic imaging, it was able to characterize incidental lesions as benign or malignant. Then in colonic polyps, and colonic polyps, as we know, that they also pose a potential risk of colorectal cancer. So this AI system was able to detect and consistently monitor the polyps. And mammography, screening mammography is technically difficult to interpret, but AI was able to assist in the interpretation by identifying and characterizing microcalcifications. Brain imaging, it was able to make diagnostic predictions and distinguish between benign, malignant, and metastatic tumors. And radiation oncology also, it helped to assess the response to treatment. Similarly, this is the system where medical imaging, it can be used to, so suppose you are feeding a medical image of cancer, a tumor volume, shape, texture, intensity, and location. It was fed into the machine, and it was able to identify whether the characterization of the tumor and so on. Similarly, it has its uses in dermatology, wherein diagnosing skin cancer, then pathology already I have said, and also in DNA and RNA sequencing. Now, this is the importance of radiology in oncology imaging, wherein the tumor was able, the AI system was able to detect the abnormalities, characterize the objects, and it also helped in diagnosis and staging of the tumor. Now, this is a My Health Data, which is an app which has been designed, wherein the entire medical records of the individual is there in the cloud, and which can be linked to the smartphone. So this would help you can have your ECG record, you can have your blood test, your gut microbiome, your DNA data, and your medications, everything in your smartphone, and the data would be in the cloud, so that if a patient has any, I mean, if there is a patient which has any kind of a problem, the entire data can be accessed in the cloud. So if there is a suppose there is a road traffic accident or a sudden MI or something, then the cloud data could be used to retrieve it and treat the patient. So this has glucose monitoring devices, it has oximetric devices, it's got respiratory rate monitors, and this also would help to, this is actually all connected to IoT. IoT is called Internet of Things. So this is entirely connected to the IoT, so that the patient can be properly monitored. So now coming to $1 million question, what does AI say for medical professionals? How is it going to help us or hinder us? So with all these systems, is AI going to take away our professional skills? So that is something which also troubles many of us. But if you see, as of now, in the current state, what AI would do is to delegate the repetitive and lower level cognitive functions, so that our mental energy of the medical professionals would be more focused on higher level thinking. Now, for example, to see a small example, so suppose the HbA1c is 6.1%, it would trigger a remote service, and that would give the information to the physician. Now, in the normal circumstances, one would probably wait for the hospital nurse or the technician to inform them. But in this case, if the physician himself is getting the trigger on his or her smartphone device, then it would save so much of his time in order to focus on the treatment part of it, rather than wait for some human intervention to inform the HbA1c result. So it would definitely help doctors in the current state. And in the laboratory, let us see how AI is going to help the lab staff. Now, lab, as we know, there are huge volumes of data. Then there is a shortage of expert recruitment. There's a shortage of staff retention most of the time. And then the results can sometimes have lack of accuracy, and reproducibility is also a problem because of contamination, etc. Then we have mishandled specimens, mishandled samples, and new technology and new disease strains like in the current pandemic situation. So there's a lot of pressure on the lab staff. So all this can be handled by an AI system, which would then help the biochemist or the microbiologist or the pathologist to focus on interpreting the data rather than run behind the sample problems and the sampling errors, which commonly happen in labs. So, but the hurdles which one would face if you are going to automate this is it takes time and effort, and most of the time, as we know, people do not embrace change very fast. So there is a lot of gap in how fast we want people to embrace the change. Then there is a question of the cost also. How, because if you're going to upgrade it to digital pathology, the labs would have to incur higher cost. And many times it does not actually translate into a return on the revenue as it is so called. But therefore, that these things would definitely pose a change. And also, we are not sure, even though there are so many AI systems, we always have this fear that, okay, is it actually giving us the right answer or not? So that kind of cultural and intellectual transformation also would be required. However, we need to adapt to this, and it should fit the future needs. Now, this is a very interesting thing which I found. This is something like a robo-scientist, and this is a prototype of two scientists which have been recently created. That's called Adam and Eve. And Adam actually was the first robotic scientist which was employed in drug discovery. So Adam helped to generate the key enzymes which catalyze reactions in Saccharomyces, the yeast. And later on, Eve, which was a more developed system, she discovered that triclosan could be used to treat drug-resistant malarial parasites. So basically, the advantage of having a robotic scientist is multiple. And Adam and Eve were the pioneers who got drug discovery as a part of an AI system. So this is what they did. And also they found another drug, ppm 31510, which is currently in a phase 2 clinical trial, and that is for pancreatic cancer. And this AI system is also used to look for drug targets and therapies for conditions like diabetes and Parkinson's disease. So how the AI system did it is by modeling the diseased human cells, by modeling the by changing the level of the lipids, metabolites, and enzyme profiles. They created different diseased cells, and they generated immense amounts of data. So, what is the future of healthcare now? Why should we talk about AI as of now? Because is it really worthwhile? So, we should understand that although the AI system cannot replace doctors, but doctors who know and use AI would definitely have an edge over those who do not. So, this was basically my intention of presenting this, because as I know, this is the CME program, and there are a lot of young doctors who are entering into the profession, and they are the doctors of the future. So if you are armed with the knowledge of artificial intelligence, then you would be definitely having an edge over doctors who do not use artificial intelligence. So it is excellent system, and neural networks have progressed very highly. And if you are if you are entering any of the IT companies which are into healthcare, then definitely your knowledge of AI would be of immense benefit. So that is the entire future of healthcare. So there are some myths and facts about AI. So one of the myth of AI is that super intelligence by 2100 is inevitable. But the fact that it may happen in decades, may not happen so fast. Then there's another myth that, oh, we do not have to worry about AI. So, but however, that's not the truth. Many top AI researchers are very much concerned. And mythical worry is AI turning evil or AI turning conscious. But actually, the worry is that AI becomes competent. So, would the goal of the AI system be aligned with human beings, or would they become so intelligent that their goal would be misaligned with ours? That is a bigger worry. Again, is robots are the main concern, but that's not. You don't need a robot. You just need an internet connection, and the intelligence is there in the atmosphere. It just has to pick it up. You don't need a physical robot. We have internet. Then there is a myth that human AI cannot control humans, but that's not a fact. We could control tiger because we were smarter. So if there is an intelligent system like AI, then why can't it control human beings? To put it hypothetically. Then also, a machine cannot have a goal. That is a myth. But that's not a fact. If you design a heat-seeking missile, it has a goal. So, need to know that AI also has a goal. Then we also have a mythical worry: super intelligence is your way. But the actual worry is it is a few decades ahead. We need to plan. So, and I shall end this with an ad, because I have spoken a lot about AI in healthcare. So, as I was preparing for the talk, Cadbury's has come out with an I would want to share with you, because this is the first ad which has used artificial intelligence. So once you watch the ad, I will explain how AI has been used here. Sorry, it's I'm sorry, it's fantastic. Fun. Okay, I think that particular ad is not playing. So hmm, yeah. Is this audible? Hmm. କଣ କରୁଛୁ? Let it go on and then doesn't matter. Okay, I think there's some problem, but the ad is basically one of the few ads which have used AI in order to generate a system wherein it takes the pin code of various small business owners, and so a person in Bangalore would see the ad in a different way from a person in say Kerala. So that is how AI can be used for helping small businesses and for helping the mainstream as well, not only healthcare. So with that, I end my talk. And if there are questions or comments, then I would be able to answer.
Dr. Leela, the presentation, Sachinanand here. You simplified the whole thing. You know, everybody has got the idea that artificial intelligence is a very hard nut to understand and track. But you have made it very simplified. And of course, doctors are not really exposed to this thing. And those who want to get into this field, they should know more and more about artificial intelligence. the practice of healthcare delivery system is totally different with what our predecessors had and what we are practicing. And the future practice would be something more different, where technology would be applied in more and more fields, not only in the field of diagnosis, but the field of treatment, maybe in the training and also research. So artificial intelligence is going to be there. It's going to be with us. I think the future generations will have to be very conversant about this. You have made it very simple. I'm sure this must have stimulated many minds to know more about artificial intelligence and try to adopt that. Thank you so much from my side and from Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Science side. We thank you very much for this lucid presentation and lecture. Over to Dr. Veera, please.
Yeah, Dr. Lina, it was a wonderful presentation and it is open for discussion. Any questions from the participants, please can ask Dr. Lina.
Thanks a lot. There's one thing on the.
I think there are some questions on the chat.
Rupasri T has heard about a device which is used as an insert that to detect sugar level in the body and suggest to take the required dose of insulin. In such type of evidence, as it is related to health, how a regulatory authority will approve such devices? Is concerned about legal aspects of such devices. Dr. Lina, there's a question by Dr. Jayaprakash Alva which says, can AI be used in classrooms?
Yeah. See, in classrooms, what I would, there is no system as of now which is there for classrooms, because what I understand is in a classroom, probably there would be a lot of student and teacher interaction. So an AI system should be able to help the students to get certain answers. So it can be definitely used in the classrooms, wherein the teacher would be able to program it in such a way that the various doubts of the students probably can be cleared with more depth. But as of now, AI is most focused on delivering healthcare. So it has not yet been used in the classroom, but I'm sure there would be a scope for the same.
It's very common that, whenever a diagnosis is made of serious diseases, to seek a second opinion from another doctor. Would artificial intelligence replace such second consultations? Could artificial intelligence become a norm in future to, cross-check or cross-verify a doctor's diagnosis?
Yes, sir. So that is the whole point of having an AI system, because although AI does not seek to replace a doctor, but yes, there are the uses that it should be enabling the patient to be able to get a diagnosis from the doctor. For example, there is a system which is an AI system which has a stethoscope in it. So you don't actually need a stethoscope, but it sort of mimics the heart sound. So if that device is put on by the patient, it doesn't even need a doctor to put. If the patient can be guided remotely where to put the stethoscope, then the doctor would be able to record the heart sounds, and that can be the patient would be able to record the heart sounds and then send it through a cloud-based device to the doctor. So you actually do not need a doctor in the place. But however, to interpret the heart sound, as of now, we do need a cardiologist. But going forward, we don't know whether that can be replaced. I don't, from whatever I have seen, sir, we have not yet been able to create a AI system which would completely replace a doctor. So, but yes, most of the things can be sent to the doctor, who can be remotely able to diagnose the patient.
The question from Hilda: can we track students' performance in online courses?
Can we track student performance in online courses? See, we can. There is a app which I don't think it has come much to use, but I think another startup has designed that where you can feed to you can put that app in your laptop or whatever, and you can put in the students mark, but most of it was sort of manual. But the advantage of that is at the end of it, suppose you have 100 or 200 students, it could give you a kind of a graphical representation of that student's performance. But so far the data feeding is manual. It can be done by the teacher, and it would track the student's performance and make a prediction that okay, this is if this student has scored this much marks in this terminal, then how much it can give you a kind of a prediction. But that is only it was probably just in a initial phase, and I don't know whether it has been sort of taken into public domain or not. But yes, there is a system like that.
Initially, I mentioned about the digital health initiative that diagnostics is embarking upon in collaboration with IISc Bangalore. Could a course content could be developed for such of those students who want to take up AI, exposure to AI for doctors? Can we develop something like that where university can impart this knowledge?
Sir, I lost you in the last part.
Develop a course content, maybe a fellowship program or a certificate course, then artificial intelligence, instruction to artificial intelligence can be given to medical professionals.
Yes, that can be. It can be done, sir. Most of the doctors should be able to use the AI systems which are currently coming in. Yeah. There's one question, I think, which is asking about regulatory authority, which is a very important question. I think Dr. Rupashri has asked about regulatory authority, which is something we also need to, which is very important because as of now, especially in India, we don't have much of a regulation when it comes to healthcare, but we still depend on the FDA and the CE standards. So all AI devices should be having a FDA or a CE approval so that it can be put into common use. In fact, most of the in the company which I was working for, there all the things have to be validated by doctors before releasing it into the system. So we should look for an AI system which has a validation and which has an FDA or authority approval. But in India, we don't have a regulatory body as of now which regulates these devices.
Ma'am, good evening. That was a very wonderful presentation on artificial intelligence. Myself, I am Dr. Shanmukappa. I have two queries. One is about the disadvantages of artificial intelligence in diagnostics.
You're asking about the disadvantages of AI in diagnostics?
In diagnostics.
Yeah. So as I said, now AI systems, see, in diagnosis, we would normally use it for, say, pathology or for biochemistry. Suppose you are trying to make something in biochemistry. If I say you are trying to make something which needs a delta check or something like that, then, or in pathology, which is a digital pathology. So the only advantages are innumerable. In AI systems, the advantages are really huge. But the only disadvantage is if your system is not validated, if it is not having the correct algorithm, and if the algorithm, so the IT people take a lot of time in developing the algorithms, and each algorithm is developed with the help of a doctor. So if there is any mistake in the algorithm, then your entire thing becomes wrong. Whereas when you're dealing with the human intelligence, we know that okay, we will refer to a textbook or we will refer with our colleagues or something of that sort. Whereas an AI system, especially the current stage, now going, we don't know. An AI system would not be able to make a read a reference textbook or something. But as of now, the only problem which I see is if is not correctly inputted or if there is any problem over there, then the entire thing, because AI systems as of now cannot read, cannot understand, which is what we are aiming at. So that's the only hitch here. Otherwise, other than that, there is no such problem.
Another one clarification is artificial intelligence being used in bioinformatics to design the molecule?
Artificial intelligence in bioinformatics.
Yeah.
Well, bioinformatics in which area? I mean, bioinformatics is a vast.
In designing a new protein molecule or in designing a monoclonal antibody?
Yeah, in fact, actually, there is a lot of there are a lot of articles on bioinformatics, but I did not touch that area. But yes, so in bioinformatics is basically, suppose you want to analyze a protein, the molecular structure of a protein, which has anyway so far been done with the help of computers. But the protein interaction, protein function structure analysis, and the protein sequencing, all that can AI can be used in these areas. So suppose you want to do the protein interaction and designing the analysis of the protein functions and all that, yes, AI systems can be used to make a lot of predictions in that area.
Some other queries. And Dr. Leena, section really new field for all medical professionals. It has begun in various forms and it's coming up now. I think you have presented the latest advancements made in the field of artificial intelligence. I think we expect, all our health professionals aware of all, not only all the technology going on in this area, and more specifically artificial. It's a very right time to get our medical professionals exposed to artificial. I really thank Dr. Leena for making us all of us aware of the latest developments. I also thank all the syndicate members, net members who have taken participation. I thank all the members who have participated in this. I think I make special mention about Dr. Meera, who has coordinated with the speaker and answered very well. Once again, thank all the participants. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hello. Uh, Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving us an opportunity. And Dr. Leena, really a lot of things still yet to explore in this topic. Probably, as our Vice Chancellor told, it is an eye opener for all of us. I think more and more minds, younger minds, will take up this as a project, and they can find many things. With this, I think we can put a signature and we can wrap up the session. Over to Dr. Riaz, sir. Can we leave the session, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I thank Dr. Leena, the Registrar, and the Honorable Vice Chancellor, and yourself for coordinating this session and giving the opportunity. I request Dr. Leena to please, if with your permission, you can share the presentation so that it will be useful for the postgraduate students and others to have a gist. If at all any further queries are there, we will definitely take it and come back to you for any further queries which are raised by the postgraduate students.
Sure, sir. I will do that because, as Dr. Meera said, it's a huge topic, and we all, as medical professionals, we need to gear ourselves up to the IT revolution, and we need to incorporate more and more AI into our domain, so that in the next 10-15 years we are not left behind, and all of us need to understand artificial intelligence in health was the whole objective of the topic, and I'm really thankful to everyone here for having invited me, and thanks to all the guests who asked the questions. I'm sure there are a lot of other questions, but it's a very interesting topic, so I'm sure it will be, and it will be interesting for everyone about it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.